weight hangs straight.
Because gravity doesn't lie.
Plumb line a string with the weight at the bottom, gravity pulling it into perfect vertical. The oldest surveying tool, older than the level, older than the transit, the most fundamental article.
I hold the plumb line against the wall at midnight. The string hangs motionless, the weight pointing down. If the wall leans, the string and the wall diverge. The gap between truth and construction, the crown.
The word plumb comes from plumbum, Latin for lead. The weight was always lead, dense and small, heavy enough to pull the string taut, light enough to carry on the scaffold. The call.
The Egyptians used plumb lines to build the pyramids, the vertical faces within 3 arc minutes of true. Over 140 meters of height, the plumb line's testimony straight through.
Gravity is the only referee that never lies.
The plumb line translates the truth from the sky.
Plumb line, the weight that finds the truth.
Plumb line, the string that cuts right through.
Gravity pulling straight and clear.
The vertical truth, the builder's ear.
Plumb line,
the oldest tool on site.
Plumb line,
the definition of upright.
Hang the string and read the wall. Gravity answers, honest for all. Let it settle, don't rush the reading.
The plumb bob doubles as a centering device. Hang it from a tripod over a survey mark. The point of the bob directly over the point below. The vertical connection, the geometric arc.
Mason's plumb rules, a plumb line mounted on the board. The string hanging in the channel, the wall checked by holding the board against the surface. If the string touches both ends, the wall is erect.
Spirit levels replace the plumb line for most tasks. 1800, the air bubbles in the tube, faster to read. Doesn't swing in the wind, but the plumb line is still the ultimate proof, no rule.
On tall buildings, the plumb line is impractical. The wind deflects the string, the bob swings. Laser plummets replace them, vertical laser beam, but the principle is the same. The gravity that clings.
Gravity is the only referee that never lies.
The plumb line translates the truth from the sky. The weight that finds the truth.
Plumb line, the string that cuts right through.
Gravity pulling straight and clear.
The vertical truth, the builder's ear.
Plumb line,
the oldest tool on site.
Plumb line,
the definition of upright.
Hang the string and read the wall. Gravity answers, honest for all.
The metaphor entered the language plumb true, meaning perfectly vertical, honest the line.
We measure people against the plumb line too,
asking if their principles are designed
to hang straight under the weight of pressure,
or to lean away from the vertical truth.
Yeah, the plumb line asks one question only: is this structure aligned with gravity or uncouth? Strip it down to what the plumb line teaches. The simplest tool answers the most important question.
A string and a weight and the force of the earth.
The vertical truth
without suggestion.
Midnight and the plumb line hangs still against the new wall.
I check the gap.
3 millimeters out of plumb, over 4 meters. The wall needs adjusting.
The bricklayer's map.
The plumb line doesn't judge,
it just shows
the relationship between the wall and gravity.
No opinion, no emotion, no preference,
just the string in the way,
the absolute cavity.
I tap the wall's top with the mallet, nudging it 3 millimeters inward.
Check the plumb line again.
The string touches both ends of the rule.
The wall restored backward.
The plumb line returns to my tool belt.
The simplest instrument,
the most honest voice.
A string, a weight, and the earth's constant pull.
The vertical truth
and the builder's choice. Plumb line,
the weight that finds the truth.
Plumb line, the string that cuts right through.
Gravity pulling straight and clear.
The vertical truth, the builder's ear.
Plumb line,
the oldest tool on site.
Plumb line,
the definite. The definite.
I didn't light it, but I'm breathing every cloud. Secondhand haze, drifting through the crowd. somebody else's habit wrapping around my coat. Nicotine cologne sitting in my throat. Bar stools and ashtrays, conversations blurred. Every sentence softer, every edge deferred. I came in clean, but I'll leave you wearing gray. Secondhand haze, that's the price I pay.
Not my flame, not my fire. Still I'm caught in someone else's wire. Secondhand haze,
I never asked for this. Passive smoke in a passive chase.
secondhand haze, it's in my hair, my skin. Didn't start it, but I'm breathing in.
Borrowed fog, borrowed night.
Secondhand haze got me feeling right.
Yeah, yeah. Your cigarette between your fingers, amber dye. I'm just a shadow sitting in your smoke-filled thought. Lungs of a bystander, heart of someone close. Secondhand haze is the nearest that I'll get to those. Exhale your secrets, I'll inhale the truth. Smoke don't lie, that's the secondhand proof. Morning comes, the scent is in my sheets.
Secondhand haze,
Bittersweet repeat.
secondhand haze,
I never asked for this. Passive smoke in a passive case.
secondhand haze, it's in my hair, my skin. Didn't start it, but I'm breathing in.
Borrowed fog, borrowed night.
Secondhand haze got me feeling right. Maybe I keep sitting here because the haze feels warm. Borrowed comfort in a borrowed storm. Secondhand haze, secondhand haze, secondhand haze.
The city never fully goes to sleep, just lowers his voice to a murmur deep. Distant drill at 2 a.m. somewhere below, building something nobody will ever know. Sirens singing lullabies of chrome, air conditioning humming welcome home. Concrete walls conducting every sound, the city's lullaby surround.
Close your eyes and let the city hum. Every frequency becoming one. Urban white noise where the sleepless come. Concrete lullaby, the city's drum. Concrete lullaby,
The city sings to sleep,
concrete lullaby.
the rhythm running deep.
Skyscraper whispers
That the dreamers keep.
concrete lullaby.
Count the floors like sheep. Garbage truck and 4 hydraulic press, compacting yesterday's entire mess. But from the 12th floor, it sounds like a whale, singing in the distance, telling its tale. Taxi meter clicking through the block, elevator shafts, mechanical clock. The building settles groaning like it's tired. Concrete lullaby, urban choir.
Close your eyes and let the city hum. Every frequency becoming one. Urban white noise where the sleepless come. Concrete lullaby, the city's drum. Concrete lullaby,
The city sings to sleep,
concrete lullaby.
the rhythm running deep.
Skyscraper whispers
That the dreamers keep.
concrete lullaby.
Count the floors floors like she. Country folks with crickets and the stream. Forest dwellers sleep inside the green. But the city kids were raised on the machine. And silence is the scariest in between. We need the hum, the buzz, the distant drone that tells us that we're never quite alone.
Concrete lullaby in every zone.
The city sings us through the metronome. The dawn creeps in but the lullaby stays. Just shifts from the night to the morning phrase. Construction drill replaced by the rush of commuters. Coffee, mornings crush, but underneath the chaos still the hum. The building's heartbeat, the city's song.
Concrete lullaby.
From sun to sun,
the longest song that's never done. Concrete lullaby.
The city sings to sleep.
Concrete lullaby.
The rhythm running deep.
Skyscraper whispers
that the dreamers keep.
Concrete lullaby. Count the floors like she. Drill fades out. City breeze. Concrete lullaby. Through the evening leaves. Every building, every tower believes. The city sings to everyone who grieves. Where the river meets the sea, neither fresh nor salt, the estuary breathes. Estuary. Estuary, the tidal mouth where fresh water surrenders to the ocean, but not completely. The mixing zone, brackish, part of both. A gradient from river to sea, discreetly. I sit on the wooden pier at 4 a.m. The tide is turning slack water. The pause between the incoming and the outgoing. The estuary holds its breath, because the salinity changes with every tide cycle. 14 parts per thousand at high tide, 2 parts at low. The organisms here must tolerate both extremes or hide. The mud at low tide smells of hydrogen sulfide, anaerobic bacteria in the sediment, breaking down organic matter without oxygen. The smell of productivity, not of abandonment. Not river, not ocean, but both in the same breath. The estuary is the longest conversation between fresh and death. Estuary, where fresh and salt water meet. Estuary, where river finds the fleet. Brackish gradient, changing with the tide. Neither one nor other, the space between wide. Estuary, the most productive zone. Estuary, where nothing stands alone. Mud and salt and river flow, the mixing place where everything can grow.
The Thames estuary extends from Teddington Lock to the North Sea, 60 miles of gradient, London built on brackish water. The tide rises and falls twice a day, 400 species of fish.
Estuaries are the nurseries of the ocean. 75% of commercial fish species spend part of their life cycle in estuarine waters. The sheltered shallows, the marine thesis, the mangrove estuary, the salt marsh estuary, the fjord estuary, the bar-built lagoon. Each type a different architecture of mixing different salinity profiles, different monsoon. The Chesapeake Bay, the largest estuary in the U.S. 64,000 square miles of watershed draining into a shallow basin 200 miles long. The most studied body of brackish water sustaining.
Estuaries filter the water before it reaches the sea. Sediment settles in the calm waters, nutrients are processed. The estuary is the planet's kidney, and we filled half of them in.
Not river, not ocean, but both in the same breath. The estuary is the longest conversation between fresh and death. Estuary, where fresh and salt water meet. Estuary, where river finds the fleet. Brackish gradient, changing with the tide. Neither one nor other, the space between wide. Estuary, the most productive zone. Estuary, where nothing stands alone. Mud and salt and river flow, the mixing place where everything can grow.
We value the pure, the
Fresh,
the clear,
the mountain stream,
the ocean deep,
but the estuary,
the mix, the mud,
is where the most life doesn't sleep.
the gradient is the engine of productivity.
Where two things meet,
The interface
is always more alive than either side alone.
The estuary is the evidence, the case.
Strip it down to what the estuary teaches.
The mixing zone is the most fertile ground.
Where identities overlap and blur,
Is where the richest ecosystems are found.
4 a.m. the tide begins to turn. Water creeping back across the mud flat. The oyster catchers move ahead of the rising line, feeding on the exposed invertebrates, the habitat. The pier groans as the water lifts the pilings, wood swelling, salt penetrating the grain. The estuary reclaims the land it lent at low tide, the daily negotiation between the dry and the rain.
The estuary doesn't choose a side,
It holds both,
fresh and salt.
river and sea,
The longest diplomatic negotiation on earth,
twice a day,
every day.
forever. Estuary, where passion salt water meet. Estuary, where river finds a fleet. Brackish gradient, changing with the tide. Neither one nor other, the space between wide. Estuary, the most productive zone. Estuary, where nothing stands alone. Mud and salt and river flow, the mixing place where everything can grow. Fresh meets salt, the river meets the sea, and life grows in the in-between. Found you pressed between page 43. Dog-eared corner coffee stain memory. Worn out bookmark holding someone's place. In the chapter I forgot, in the time I can't retrace. Faded ribbon, faded every end, marking where the good part starts but never where it bends. Yellow paper whispers of a younger hand. Worn out bookmark, help me understand. Every crease a year, every stain a season. Holding on to pages for no particular reason. Worn out bookmark, where'd you learn to stay between the lines of yesterday? Thin as air, but strong enough to keep a sleeping story buried deep. Worn out bookmark, faded red and gold, the warmest thing that I can hold. Grandpa's library smelled like dust and pine. Every shelf a timeline, every book a shrine. This ribbon marked the passage where the hero chose to stay. I read it every autumn, same page, different day. The spine is cracking now, the glue has come undone, but the bookmark's still right there where someone left it from. A quiet act of fate that I come back to read. Worn out bookmark, that's the love I need. Worn out bookmark, where'd you learn to stay between the lines of yesterday? Thin as air, but strong enough to keep a sleeping story buried deep. Worn out bookmark, faded red and gold, the warmest thing that I can hold. of satin in a hardback world, holding places for a boy, now holding them for a girl. Worn out bookmark, worn out bookmark, worn out bookmark. Velvet drag across my bottom lip, smoking fabric, sharing the same trip. Everything tonight has got a texture to it, soft and slow, I'm sinking into the music. Dim the lights until the shadows talk, let the ember be my evening walk. No destination, just a pull and hold. Velvet drag, a story being told. Smooth like the cloth, warm like the glow. Every inhale setting the tempo low. Velvet doesn't rush and neither do I know how to be anything but this slow. Velvet drag, smooth against the night. Velvet drag, everything feels right. Smoke and silk in the amber light. Velvet drag, luxurious and tight. A gallery of shifting shade, every object softened by the haze I've made. Couch feels deeper, music sounds more round, bass vibrating through the velvet ground. I don't need the world to understand, this ritual was never pre-planned, just the fabric of the night and me. Velvet drag, temporary ecstasy, smooth like the cloth, warm like the glow. Every inhale setting the tempo low. Velvet doesn't rush and neither do I know how to be anything but this slow. Velvet drag, smooth against the night. Velvet drag, everything feels right. Smoke and silk in the amber light. Velvet drag, luxurious and tight. There's a version of myself that only lives in the velvet hours when the evening gives permission to be still, permission to forgive. The daytime version in the way it lives, too fast, too loud, too bright, too much. The velvet drag recalibrates the touch, returns me to the frequency and such, where everything is soft enough to clutch. Midnight passes without notification, just the ember's gentle calibration. One more drag, the velvet kind the best, where the smoke becomes a tailored vest, fitted to my shoulders, warm and dark. Every thread a whisper, every puff a spark. Tomorrow I'll be sharp and built for speed, but tonight the velvet drag is all I need. Velvet drag, smooth against the night. Velvet drag, everything feels right. Smoke and silk in the amber light. Velvet drag, luxurious and tight. Fabric settles, smoke dissolves. Velvet night slowly revolves into the morning that the dawn resolves, but the texture stays where the calm evolves. Yeah. glass doesn't forgive. One score, one snap, clean or nothing. Glazier, the one who cuts and fits the glass. Diamond wheel scoring a line across the sheet. One continuous stroke, no hesitation. The fracture follows the score, clean and neat. I hold the glass cutter at 30 degrees. The carbide wheel biting into the surface. It sound like tearing silk. The score line running from one edge to the other. The purpose, tap the underside and the glass separates. Along the scored line, molecular precision. The fracture propagates at 1500 meters per second. Faster than sound, the decision. 1 a.m. in the workshop, the glass sheets lean against the wall like frozen waterfalls. Each one waiting for the score and the snap. The Glazier's midnight measuring the halls. One line, one chance, the glass remembers every scratch. Score it right and the break is clean, no catch. Glazier, one cut and it's done. Glazier, the fracture's already won. Score the line and trust the snap. The glass breaks clean, no overlap. Glazier, diamond wheel on sheet. Glazier, the sound of something neat. One stroke decides the shape you get. The Glazier's hand, no room for regret. No room for regret. Crown glass was the medieval method, spinning a molten glob on a ponto rod, centrifugal force, flattening it into a disc 4 feet across. The bullseye at the center, the cheapest course. The Glazier cut the disc into panes, diamond point, working around the bullseye. Each piece unique, slightly curved, slightly rippled. The old windows you see in cathedrals. The antique flow glass changed everything. 1959, Palkington poured molten glass onto liquid tin. The glass floats perfectly flat, both sides, fire polish, no grinding needed. The wind, I cut a sheet of 6mm float glass. The score line is invisible until I snap. The two halves separate, the edges sharp. The most permanent decision from the lightest tap. One line, one chance, the glass remembers every scratch. Score it right and the break is clean, no catch. Glazier, one cut and it's done. Glazier, the fracture's already won. Score the line and trust the snap. The glass breaks clean, no overlap. Glazier, diamond wheel on sheet. Glazier, the sound of something neat. One stroke decides the shape you get. The Glazier's hand, no room for regret. Stained glass windows, the Glazier's masterpiece. Lead came holding the color pieces together. Each piece cut to the cartoon's exact shape. The diamond point following the painter's weather. Chartres Cathedral, 12,000 square feet of glass, cut and fitted by Glaziers in 1200. Each piece a different color, shape and size. The most complex jigsaw, numbered, thundered. Strip it down to what the Glazier teaches. Precision is irreversible, like the glass. One score, one chance, one clean break. The line you draw becomes the path, first and last. 1 a.m. and the window frame is ready. The glass pane cut the sides, putty needed soft. I press the glass into the rebate firm. The mandolin seed putty round the edge aloft. The putty takes 3 weeks to skin over, slow drying. The traditional Glazier's compound, linseed oil and whiting, calcium carbonate. The oldest sealant, still the best profound. I step back and the new glass catches the street lamp, but reflection where there was a hole before. The Glazier's work is visible only when it's absent. You notice the broken window, not the one next door. Glazier, one cut and it's done. Glazier, the fracture's already won. Score the line and trust the snap. The glass breaks clean, no overlap. Glazier, diamond wheel on sheet. Glazier, the sound of something neat. One stroke decides the shape you get. The Glazier's hand, no room for regret. One score, one snap, one chance. The glass knows, and so does the hand. 30 seconds on the clock and nothing coming out. Opened up the voicemail, couldn't push the sound. Had a speech rehearsed inside my chest for weeks, but silence was the only word my courage speaks. Delete, read record, delete again. Voicemail I never sent, the ghost of what I've been. Your number still lives, muscle memory deep, but the message stays asleep. I wrote the words in air, they disappeared on cue. 30 seconds wasn't long enough for I miss you. Voicemail I never sent, sitting in the draft. All the things I meant to say, held behind the glass. Voicemail I never sent. Silence after the beep. The heaviest words are the ones we keep unsent, unheard, unknown. Voicemail I never sent to a disconnected phone. 4 AM recording stacking in my phone. A library of almost a museum of alone. Hey, it's me, and then the line goes flat. Every version starts the same, I never finished that. Your voicemail greeting hasn't changed in years. 3 seconds of your voice still rearranges my tears. I hang up right before the beat, because I know if I speak, I'll never let you go. Voicemail I never sent, sitting in the draft. All the things I meant to say, held behind the glass. Voicemail I never sent. Silence after the beep. The heaviest words are the ones we keep unsent, unheard, unknown. Voicemail I never sent to a disconnected phone. Maybe silence is the message, maybe quiet says it all. The voicemail I never sent, still echoing off the wall. Voicemail I never sent. Never sent. The burring bites the copper, and the line is permanent. No undo, no control Z, just the groove. Copperplate, the engraver's medium, a polished sheet of copper into which the image is cut. Line by line with the burring, a steel chisel push forward, the curl of copper rising from the rut. I hold the burring at 15 degrees to the plate, the blade entering the copper like a plow. The harder I push, the deeper the line, the more ink it holds. And how the plate is printed intaglio, the opposite of relief. Ink pressed into the groove, surface wiped clean. Paper laid on top and run through the press. The ink transfers from groove to sheet unseen. 3 AM and the engraving is halfway done. A map of the coastline, every contour drawn, and parallel lines closer together for darker tones. The technique unchanged since 1400, the dawn. The line is cut, the copper remembers, no eraser. Every stroke is permanent, the engraver's razor. Copperplate, the line that can't be undone. Copperplate, engraved by the midnight sun. Burning in the copper, groove by groove. The image emerges, nothing left to prove. Copperplate, the permanent impression. Copperplate, the printer's quiet obsession. Ink in the groove, paper on the press. One pull, the image, nothing more, nothing less. Nothing more, nothing less. Albrecht, Duramastered copperplate in 1500. Melancholia, the most analyzed print in history. A seated angel surrounded by tools and symbols. Every line cut with mathematical ministry. Crosshatch and parallel lines crossing at angles creates the illusion of tone on a white sheet. First horizontal, then diagonal, then vertical. Each layer adding darkness, the tonal feet. Banknotes with copperplate engraved for security. The human hand creates irregularities that no counterfeit it could perfectly replicate. The imperfection was the protection, the rarities. I engraved the stippled ocean, tiny dots, each one a separate push of the Burns point. Thousands of dots creating the illusion of water, the most labor-intensive method, every dot a joint. The line is cut, the copper remembers, no eraser. Every stroke is permanent, the engraver's razor. Copperplate, the line that can't be undone. Copperplate, engraved by the midnight sun, burning in the copper groove by groove. The image emerges, nothing left to prove. Copperplate, the permanent impression. Copperplate, the printer's quiet obsession. Ink in the groove, paper on the press. One pull, the image, nothing more, nothing less. Digital design gives us infinite undos, layer mask and history panels, the safety net. But the copperplate engraver has no undo. Every line is a commitment, the alphabet. The permanence forces a different kind of attention. You plan before you cut, you think before you push. The constraint of irreversibility makes the engraver's hand the most considered brush. Strip it down to what the copperplate teaches. Permanence produces precision. When there's no undo, the first cut must be right, and that focus creates the sharpest vision. 3 a.m. the plate is done. I ink it with the dauber, working the thick ink into every groove. Wipe the surface clean with tarlatan cloth, the copper shining, only the grooves groove. I lay the dampened paper on the plate, run through the press, the star wheel turning. The pressure, 2 tons, forces the paper into the lines, extracting the ink, the image burning. I peel the paper slowly, the print reveals the coastline. I engraved every contour sharp, 300 lines per inch in the darkest zones. The copperplate exhaling its midnight heart. Copperplate, the line that can't be undone. Copperplate, engraved by the midnight sun, burning in the copper groove by groove. The image emerges, nothing left to prove. Copperplate, the permanent impression. Copperplate, printer's quiet obsession. Ink in the groove, paper on the press. One pull, the image, nothing more, nothing less. One cut, one line, one print. The copper doesn't forget, and neither should you. Neither should you. What? One small key on the kitchen table left, bronze and worn, evidence of theft. Not a property, but of my time. Every tooth a year upon the climb. You gave it to me on our 6-month date, said come over anytime, don't wait. Now I'm giving it back in an envelope white, returning your key and an alright.
A spare key is the most intimate thing you can give someone. Not a ring, not a promise, not a word. Just a piece of metal that says, I trust you with my space when I'm not there. Returning it means the space closed.
Returning your key, locking the past. Returning your key, nothing will last. Bronze and silver, love that was cast. Returning your key, goodbye at last.
I polished it before I brought it back. Didn't want you to see the fingerprint track of all the nights I let myself inside when you were sleeping on the other side. The hallway dark, your shoes beside the door. I'd slip mine off and tippy-toe the floor into the bed where you make room for me. Returning your key, returning me free. She left it in a white envelope, no name, no note, just the key. And somehow that blank paper said more than any letter could. The absence of words was the loudest paragraph she ever wrote.
Returning your key, locking the past. Returning your key, nothing will last. Bronze and silver, love happy once, don't judge me please. Kept it hidden in my winter fleece, a secret key to a door that ceased to be mine when you said release. But I melted it, figuratively speaking, deleted the shape my heart was keeping, returning the original, finally unsealing the door between the love and the healing. Walking home with lighter pockets now, no more metal weight of our sacred vow. The keychain's empty where it used to hang, one less key but the freedom rang. Tomorrow I'll change my own lock too, a fresh deadbolt that never knew you. Fresh brass, fresh star, fresh point of view. Returning your key, starting brand new. Returning your key, locking the past. Returning your key, nothing will last. Bronze and silver, love that was cast. Returning your key, goodbye at last.
Key received,
Lock changed,
door closed.
rearranged. The ocean left a little piece of itself,
Trapped in the rock, a whole world in a puddle.
Tidepool, a pocket of ocean left behind when the tide retreats across the rocky shore. A temporary aquarium, no glass walls, just granite basalt and the sea's own floor. I kneel beside the pool at 2 a.m., my headlamp revealing what the daylight hides. A purple sea urchin wedged in a crevice, 3 hermit crabs and an anemone the tides. The water is still, no current, no wave, just the micro ecosystem holding its breath until the tide returns in 6 hours and reconnects this puddle to the depth.
6 hours on its own, surviving. The temperature rises during the day, exposed. Salinity increases as the water evaporates. The organisms here must tolerate extremes that the open ocean never generates.
The ocean leaves and the pool survives alone. 6 hours between connections, rock and bone. Tidepool, the ocean in a cup. Tidepool, the world that won't give up. Left behind when the water goes, surviving in what the granite shows. Tidepool, 6 hours on your own. Tidepool, a kingdom carved from stone. The tide will come, the tide will leave. The pool holds on to what it believes.
The ochre sea star is the keystone predator. Remove it and the mussels take over the pool. Robert Payne proved it in 1966, the experiment that defined the ecological rule. Keystone species, disproportionate impact relative to their abundance. The star eats the mussels, keeping space open for diversity. Without the predator monoculture, the tussles. I watch a scope and dart between the fronds of coralline algae. Pink calcium carbonate seaweed, hard as rock. The fish is 5 centimeters of survival, trapped in a pool the size of a walk. 5 centimeters of survival in a pool the size of a walk. That's a whole life right there.
At low tide, the blenny breeze there through its skin, climbing the wet rock face, an amphibious fish. The tide pool demands versatility. Every organism here grants evolution's wish. The ocean leaves and the pool survives alone.
6 hours between connections,
Rock and bone. Tidepool, the ocean in a cup. Tidepool, the world that won't give up. Left behind when the water goes, surviving in what the granite shows. Tidepool, 6 hours on your own. Tidepool, a kingdom carved from stone. The tide will come, the tide will leave. The pool holds on to what it believes.
Children discover biology in the tide pool before they learn the word.
They learn the wonder.
Poking sea anemones, watching them close. The first lesson in stimulus response.
The thunder.
The tide pool is a classroom with no walls, free admission, open with every low tide. The most democratic science education is carved into the coast worldwide. Strip it down to what the tide pool teaches. Isolation isn't death,
It's adaptation.
the pool doesn't panic when the ocean leaves. It just concentrates.
And becomes a nation. 2 a.m. the tide is turning. I can hear the surf getting louder on the rocks below the platform. In 4 hours this pool will be submerged, reconnected to the Pacific, the uniform. The sculpin will have open water again. The urchin will feel the current on its spines. The hermit crabs will have a larger hunting ground, and the anemone will catch whatever the tide assigns.
But tonight the pool is its own world, a galaxy in a granite bowl. Every drop containing a decision to survive. The tide pool, the ocean's quiet.
Tide pool, the ocean in a cup. Tide pool, the world that won't give up. Left behind when the water goes. Surviving in what the granite shows. Tide pool, 6 hours on your own. Tide pool, a kingdom carved from stone. Tide will come, the tide will leave. The pool holds on to what it believes. The tide comes back.
It always comes back.
But the pool was ready either way.
Picked you up 1,000 times, but now the glass is split. Spiderweb across your face, I see it through the cracks. Every text a fault line, every call a chip. Crack screen love, and I can't get a grip. Used to see us crystal clear, pixel perfect life. Now the touch don't register, swipe but nothing's right. Shattered at the corner where you dropped the truth. Crack screen showing me the fracture proof. Still glowing in the dark, still lighting up my hand. But the picture's never clear enough to understand. Crack screen, everything we had between. Broken glass still catches light, but I can't read your name tonight. Crack screen, sharpest thing I've ever seen. Cutting through what used to be a crack screen memory. Put a case on it too late, damage running deep. Screenshots of your laughter in a folder I can't keep. Fingerprint won't recognize the person that I've been since the night you hit the concrete, cracked me from within. Factory reset won't fix a heart that's wrecked. Every notification just a ghost of what comes next. Held together by a film, pretending it's okay. Crack screen love fading pixel by the day. Crack screen, everything we had between. Broken glass still catches light, but I can't read your name tonight. Crack screen, sharpest thing I've ever seen. Cutting through what used to be a crack screen memory. I could replace the glass, I could upgrade the frame, but the cracks would still remember every letter of your name. Crack screen, crack screen,
pressure doesn't break, it shines. Rearranges atoms into crystal lines. Every gigapascal pushing on my frame turns the ordinary into the Hall of Fame. They thought the weight would crush me to the floor, but pressure is exactly what I'm for. 25 years of compression, heat and time. Diamond pressure, and the diamond's mine. You don't get the clarity without the squeeze. Don't get the fastest without the disease of being compressed beyond your expertise. Diamond pressure, the only expertise. Diamond pressure, turn me into light. Diamond pressure, crystallize the fight. Every facet cut from the darkest night. Diamond pressure, I was born to shine bright, 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 bright. Started as a lump of carbon unrefined, rough around the edges, undefined. Life applied to temperature and for a single parent engineer. And then the course of learning Python stocks and YouTube's game. Every pressure point another frame. The crystal structure of my rising name. Diamond pressure, never the same. You don't get the clarity without the squeeze. Don't get the fastest without the disease of being compressed beyond your expertise. Diamond pressure, the only expertise. Diamond pressure, turn me into light. Diamond pressure, crystallize the fight. Every facet cut from the darkest night. Diamond pressure, I was born to shine bright. To the ones beneath the boulders, wait. To the ones who think it's just too late. Carbons rearranging, recalibrate. The diamonds forming, just appreciate the way the earth took billions of years to make. The hardest substance from the softest. Take it, precious, temporary. The diamond won't break. Diamond pressure, for your own sake. The campfire's my reward for the compression years. Diamond formed from sweat and engineered tears. Laptop venting in the firelight's frame. Every facet reflecting how I overcame. From carbon to diamond, factory to free. From the darkest mind to the highest tree. Diamond pressure made the best of me. In the light refracts for the world to see. Diamond pressure, turn me into light. Diamond pressure, crystallize the fight. Every facet cut from the darkest night. Diamond pressure, I was born to shine bright. Best releases, crystal clear. Diamond standing after every year. Pressure was the architect, have no fear. The hardest substance started right here.
Six threads at a time. The silk tells a story that only the loom can read.
Samite, a heavy silk fabric woven in twill. 6 or more threads are weft for every one of warp. The weight of it is what the medieval nobles love, draping like liquid gold, sharp. I hold the Samite sample at 2 a.m. The silk catches the light with every fold, a shimmering surface that changes color depending on the angle, warm then cold. Samite was the fabric of Byzantine emperors, woven in Constantinople, exported west. Along the Silk Road, bales awaited luxury, the most expensive textile, second to none, the best.
6 threads to one, the heaviest silk, the weight of empire in every fold.
The word comes from the Greek hexameter, six-threaded, describing the weave structure. Twill rather than plain, the diagonal rib creating the drape and the light capture. 6 threads weaving the weight of the dynasty, the silk that dressed the empire, the fabric of majesty. Samite, the silk that weighs like gold. Samite. 6 threads in every fold. The Byzantine looms in the Silk Road's path, the heaviest silk, the emperor's bath. Samite, the drape that catches light. Samite, the fabric of the night. Twill and weight and shimmer combine, the most luxurious textile design.
Constantinople fell in 1453, and the Samite weavers scattered across Europe. The technique survived, the empire didn't.
The shrouded Turin is sometimes ascribed to Samite, though technically it's a herringbone twill 3-to-1. The confusion shows how dominant Samite was in the medieval textile vocabulary. The sun, Islamic Samite, Tiraz bore inscriptions woven into the fabric, the ruler's name and date. The textile is political document, every thread carrying the weight of the state. Liturgical vestments were made from Samite, the chasuble, the dalmatic, the coat, the church dressed in the emperor's fabric, the overlap between sacred and secular. The rope I drape the Samite over the mannequin form. The fabric falls in heavy pleats, not like cotton, not like linen. Samite has a memory, once folded it holds the crease, not forgotten. 6 threads weaving the weight of a dynasty, the silk that dressed the empire, the fabric of majesty.
The silk that waves like gold.
Samite, 6 threads in every fold.
Byzantine looms in the Silk Road's path,
The heaviest silk, the emperor's bath. Samite,
the drape that catches light.
Samite, the fabric of the night.
Twill and weight and shimmer combine,
The most luxurious textile designed.
fast fashion produces 60 million tons of fabric per year.
Polyester,
Cheap,
disposable in 12 months.
but Samite was made to last generations.
The weight, ensuring it survived the months.
One Samite robe could be recut and resewn,
3 or 4 times in its lifetime. The thread
outliving the wearer.
passed down in wills.
The most valuable object after the house and the bed. Strip it down to what the Samite teaches. Weight is value. The heavier the fabric, the longer it lasts.
The textile that costs the most per meter
Is the one that outlives every trend that's past.
2 a.m. I fold the Samite back into its acid tree tissue. The silk still shimmering as the folds close. The sample is 600 years old. The nation's still structurally sound, still catching the light's prose. The weavers are gone, the looms are gone. The city that made this fabric is a different place, but the 6-to-1 twill structure remains,
Woven into the silk.
the empire's face.
The thread outlived the throne.
The fabric outlived the city.
6 threads at a time.
For 600 years, Samite,
The silk that weighs like gold.
Samite, 6 threads in every fold.
Byzantine looms in the Silk Road's path.
The heaviest silk, the emperor's bath. Samite,
The drape that catches light.
Samite, the fabric of the night.
Twill and weight and shimmer combine,
The most luxurious textile designed. 6 threads, 1 fold. The silk remembers
what the empire forgot.
the fabric held. Samite, 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 Samite.
Pencil in the spool, winding back the years. Every rotation pulls me closer to the tears.
Side A was summer, side B was the fall. Rewinding the
tape too before I lost it all.
Magnetic ribbon holding every laugh on file. Fast forward through the pain, rewind and stay a while. The hits between the songs is where the truth resides.
Rewinding the tape to the feelings I can't hide.
Play, stop, rewind, the holy trinity. Analog devotion to a digital free memory.
Rewinding the tape, rewinding the tape.
Back to the sound before the heartbreak.
Rewinding the tape, rewinding the tape.
Magnetic memories I can't erase.
Hissing warmth and imperfect grace. Rewinding the tape to my favorite place.
Label written in your hand, writing blue pen.
Summer mix.
I'll never see that summer again. Track 3 was our song. Track 7 made you cry.
Rewinding the tape to the reasons and the why.
The player's getting old, the motor's running slow, but every revolution is a place I need to go. Auto reverse kicks in at the end of every side.
Rewinding the tape, an infinite ride. Rewinding the tape, rewinding the tape.
Back to the sound before the heartbreak.
Rewinding the tape, rewinding the tape.
Magnetic memories I can't erase.
Hissing warmth and imperfect grace. Rewinding the tape to my favorite place. They say you can't go back, but press rewind and see. The tape remembers everything that time took from me. Rewinding. Rewinding.
Somewhere between the stations lives a sound, a golden frequency that can't be found on any digital or streaming list. An analog ghost in the static mist. Late night AM, the dial turns slow, searching for the signal's amber glow. When it locked, the room would fill with gold.
Golden frequency, the story's told. Before the algorithm chose your song, before the playlist told you right from wrong,
there was a frequency where you'd belong.
Golden signal, clear and strong. Golden frequency,
locked between the noise.
Golden frequency,
the analog voice.
Static fading
into the purest choice.
Golden frequency,
the signal we rejoice.
AM radio at Grandpa's workshop bench, covered in sawdust, oil and wrench. The signal came through stronger after 10, when the ionosphere was kind to men. Baseball commentary with the crowd behind, or a jazz program for the midnight mind. The golden frequency was never guaranteed. You earned it with the patience of the deed.
Before the algorithm chose your song,
before the playlist told you right from wrong, there was a frequency where you'd belong. Golden signal, clear and strong. Golden frequency,
locked between the noise.
Golden frequency,
the analog voice.
Static fading
into the purest signal we rejoice. Digital killed the static in the search, gave us clarity on a silver perch, but we lost the ritual of the lurch between the stations, that electric church, where the
Noise was part of the reward, where the signal was the sacred chord. You had to work for what the airwaves stored. Golden frequency,
the analog lord. I bought a shortwave radio last month, turned the dial like an archaeological hunt. Through the hiss and crackle found a station clear, playing music from a distant hemisphere. For 3
minutes the golden tone was mine,
then it faded back into the brine.
but those 3 minutes were a vintage wine.
Golden frequency,
across the line. Golden frequency, locked between the noise. Golden frequency, the analog voice. Static fading into the purest choice. Golden frequency,
a signal we rejoice.
dial drift up, static returns. Golden frequency,
The lesson never burns.
some signals come to those who wait in turns. Golden frequency, the patience that we learn. Planets turn on brass arms, a clockwork solar system on the table. Orrery, a mechanical model of the solar system. Brass planets on arms rotating around the central sun. Gears and crown wheels calculating the ratios of orbital period. Each planet's here begun. The Earth arm turns once and Venus turns 1.6 times. Mars turns 0.53. The gear ratios encode the actual orbital mechanics in brass. Kepler's laws made mechanical a tactile ode. I wind the Orrery at 1 a.m. the mainspring, releasing stored energy through the gear train. Mercury whips around the sun 88 days. Jupiter barely moves, 12-year terrain. The Earl of Orrery commissioned the first one, 1704. John Rowley built the mechanism. The name stuck every planetarium model since. It's called an orrery, the astronomical baptism. Brass arms turning at the speed of gravity. The solar system fits on a table, a mechanical galaxy. Orrery, the solar system in brass. Orrery, where the planets orbit and pass. Gears and arms and a central sun. The clockwork cosmos, always on the run. Orrery, wind it up and watch it go. Orrery, Kepler's laws and ratio. Mercury fast and Jupiter slow. The brass knows what the mathematics show. The gear ratio for Earth to Venus is 13:8, a fraction that approximates the actual 1.625. Close enough for mechanical demonstration, not precise enough for navigation, but alive. The most complex orreries include the moon, Saturn's rings tilted at the correct angle, Jupiter's 4 Galilean satellites on tiny arms, each one a sub-mechanism. The astronomical tangle, Antikythera mechanism found in a Greek shipwreck. 2,000 years old, bronze gears predicting eclipses and planetary positions. The first orrery, before the word existed, the ancients depicting. I watched the Earth pass Mars, the faster inner planet overtaking the slower outer, the synodic period. The orrery demonstrates the retrograde illusion when Mars appears to move backward. The asterisk period. Brass
arms turning at the speed of gravity. The solar system fits on a table, a mechanical galaxy. Orrery, the solar system in brass. Orrery, where the planets orbit and pass. Gears and arms and a central sun. The clockwork cosmos always on the run. Orrery, wind it up and watch it go. Orrery, Kepler's laws and ratio. Mercury fast and Jupiter slow. The brass knows what the mathematics show. We simulate the solar system on computers now. Embody simulations, billion-year projections. But the Orrery on the desk does something the screen can't. It makes the orbits tangible, the connections. You can touch Jupiter, you can spin the Earth. You can watch the gears translate the gravity into mechanical motion, the abstract made concrete. The Orrery is physics you can hold with brevity. Strip it down to what the Orrery teaches. Complex systems can be modeled simply. The gear ratio is the translation layer between the math and the hand, dimly. 1 a.m. the mainspring runs down, the planet slow. Mercury stops first, the fastest, needing the most energy. Then Venus, then Earth, then Mars. The outer planets barely notice their lethargy. I wind it again, the spring stores the energy, and the solar system restarts. Brass on brass, the Orrery has no opinion about the cosmos. It just turns a mechanical blast. The planets will orbit in this model forever, as long as someone winds the spring. The human input without the hand, the Orrery is still with the hand. The solar system comes and it's absolute. Orrery, the solar system in brass. Orrery, where the planets orbit and pass. Gears and arms and a central sun. The clockwork cosmos always on the run. Orrery, wind it up and watch it go. Orrery, Kepler's laws and ratio. Mercury fast and Jupiter slow. The brass knows what the mathematics show. Wind it up, wind it up, wind it up, and the planets move. The brass knows the math, even when we forget. Orrery, Orrery, Orrery. No audience, no applause, just a furnace glow. Forged in silence, that's the only way I know. Hammer falling on the steel when no one's watching close. Quiet repetition is the thing I value most. Heat the metal, then the doubt, quench it in the cold. Forged in silence, let the finished work be bold. They'll see the blade but never hear the thousand swings. Forged in silence, that's the song the anvil sings. Loud results from quiet rooms. The loudest bloom is born in silent tombs. Forged in silence, forged in silence. Built behind the curtain, no compliance. Forged in silence, every strike a prayer. When the world is watching, I'm already there. No fanfare, no parade. Forged in silence, self-made. 5 a.m., the workshop dark, the coffee cold. Forged in silence, discipline is how I'm told. Nobody posting, nobody like, nobody knew the 10,000 hours that it took to follow through. Sparks don't need an audience to light the room. Forged in silence, let the work resume. When the doubters sleep, the silent forgers wake. Every quiet morning is a choice I choose to make. Forged in silence, built behind the curtain, no compliance. Forged in silence, every strike a prayer. When the world is watching, I'm already there. No fanfare, no parade. Forged in silence.
self-made. The world respects the product, but I love the process more. Forged in silence on a cold and quiet floor. Forged in silence. Forged in silence. 2 metals become one. The arc bridges the gap, and the joint is born. Weld. To join 2 metals by melting them together at the interface, the fusion zone, where both become either one or the other, but the new alloy, a hybrid stronger than either alone. The sum. I strike the arc at 2 a.m. The electrode touching the steel, then lifting the gap, creating an electrical discharge. 6,000 degrees at the arc tip, the metal liquefying, generating. The weld pool glows white, I can look directly. The UV radiation will burn my retinas through the darkened lens of the helmet shade 12. The pool is visible, a miniature furnace, the arena. I travel the arc along the joint, steady speed, too fast, and the penetration is shallow. Too slow and the heat distorts the plate, the welder's rhythm, the narrow margin, the hollow. The arc is 6,000 degrees of question. Will the metal accept the bond? The weld pool answers liquid then solid. The permanent correspond. Weld at the arc that bridges the gap. Weld at the metal's electric map. 6,000 degrees at the tip of the rod. The fusion zone where the metal's not. Weld, 2 pieces becoming one. Weld the joint beneath the sun. Strike the arc and travel the line. The bond is permanent, the weld is fine. Well, the weld is fine. The bond is permanent, the weld is fine. Metal inert gas, the wire feeds continuously through the torch, shielded by argon, the most common tick. Tungsten inert gas, the precision method, the tungsten electrode doesn't melt, the uncommon stick welding. Small, the electrode is consumable, the flux coating creates the shielding gas. The most portable method, any position, underwater, upside down, the versatile class. I'm running a tide bead on stainless steel, the night that tungsten tip sharpened to a point 2.4 millimeters. The filler I dipped into the pool by hand, pulse after pulse. The weld stack of dimes, the feeders. The back verge of argon protect the root side. Stainless oxidizes catastrophically without shielding. The rainbow colors on the heat affected zone tell the temperature history, the thermal yielding. The arc is 6,000 degrees of question. Will the metal accept the bond? The weld pool answers liquid then solid. The permanent correspond. Weld at the arc that bridges the gap. Weld at the metal's electric map. 6,000 degrees at the tip of the rod. The fusion zone where the metal's not. Weld, 2 pieces becoming one. Weld the joint beneath the sun. Strike the arc and travel the line. The bond is permanent, the weld is fine. Every skyscraper, every bridge, every ship is a collection of welds, thousands of them. The structure is only as strong as its weakest joint. The welder is the anonymous engineer, the stem. X-ray inspection reveals the hidden flaws. Porosity, lack of fusion, slag, inclusion, cracks. The weld that looks perfect on the surface may hide a defect that only the radiograph tracks. Strip it down to what the weld is teaching. The bond between 2 things requires heat. Real heat, enough to melt both sides, not just one. The connection must be mutual, or it's incomplete. 2 a.m. the weld is done. I lift the helmet. The bead runs straight along the joint, consistent. The stack of dimes pad invisible, each pulse. A semicircle overlapping the last persistent. I grab the wire brushing, clean the weld, removing the
oxide, revealing the silver joint. Two plates that were separated, now one structure, the atomic bond, the metallurgical checkpoint. The weld will be X-rayed tomorrow morning, a two-dimensional shadow of every internal void. But tonight the beat is beautiful, silver on silver, the arc's signature, the fusion, the employed. Weld of the arc that bridges the gap. Weld of the metal's electric map. 6,000 degrees at the tip of the rod, the fusion zone where the metal's not. Weld two pieces becoming one. Weld the joint beneath the sun. Strike the arc and travel the line. The bond is permanent, the weld is fine. Two metals, one arc, one bond. The weld is where separation ends. Boom, boom, boom. Didn't shatter, just a hairline crack, running through the center, front to back. Glass heart still in one piece, barely whole. Fracture visible if you check the sole. Held it up against the morning light, every crack refracting wrong from right. Still beating, still pumping, still alive. Glass heart learning how to survive. The thing about glass is it shows the break. Every fracture honest, every line awake. You can't hide the damage, can't deny the ache. Glass heart, transparent for the whole world's sake. Glass heart, crack but not destroyed. Glass heart, fracture but employed. Holding every piece I can't avoid. Glass heart, beautifully alloyed. Dropped it from a height you didn't measure. Casual cruelty disguised as leisure. But glass doesn't blame the hand that slips, it just maps the damage in its tiny scripts. Now I carry it with extra care. Bubble wrap around the love affair. Every step deliberate and aware. Glass hard, fragile but still there. The thing about glass is it shows the break. Every fracture honest, every line awake. You can't hide the damage, can't deny the ache. Glass heart, transparent for the whole world's sake. Glass heart, cracked but not destroyed. Glass heart, fracture but employed. Holding every piece I can't avoid. Glass heart, beautifully alloyed. Art has a word for this design. Kintsugi fills the cracks with golden line. But my glass heart doesn't need the shine. The cracks themselves are beautiful and mine. Each fracture is a lesson I've survived. Each hairline proof that I'm still alive. Transparency is how the wounded thrive. Glass heart, the most honest thing I drive. One day someone new will hold this heart, see the cracks and still say, that's my art. Not despite the damage, but because the fractures prove I love without a pause. Until then I'll carry it myself. Glass heart resting on the highest shelf, where the light comes through and the cracks reveal a rainbow only broken things can feel. Glass heart, cracked but not destroyed. Glass heart, fractured but employed. Holding every piece I can't avoid. Glass heart, beautifully alloyed. Glass holes, light shines through every crack, a window to the view. Glass heart, fractured but it grew. The strongest hearts are the ones you see through.
mortar hits the lime,
and the heat rises on its own. Quicklime, calcium oxide, cow limestone burned at 900 degrees until the carbon dioxide leaves. What remains is a white rock that reacts with water. Will add water and the temperature jumps to 300 exothermic. The lime slaking itself, calcium hydroxide forming the hydration, a chemical reaction generating its own wealth.
I watch the quicklime pit at 4 a.m.
Water added slowly, the lime boiling without any flame,
just the chemistry
of a broken bond reforming the toiling. The Romans used quicklime and concrete and mortar mixed with volcanic ash, pozzolanic reaction. 2,000 years later, the pantheon still stands on lime-based chemistry, the original traction.
Water and stone,
The reaction is violent, but the product is peace.
quicklime to slake lime,
The heat is the release.
quicklime,
The stone that burns with water,
quicklime, the heat from calcium's daughter.
at the water watch it boil,
No flame needed,
chemical toil.
quicklime,
900 degrees to make
quicklime, 300 when it wakes.
the most reactive stone on earth. Fire inside from limestone's birth. Lime kilns dotted every countryside in Europe. The farmer making his own quicklime for the fields. Agricultural lime, raising soil pH, calcium feeding the crops, the annual yield.
The lime burner was a medieval profession,
Tending the kiln for 3 days and nights.
the same rhythm as the charcoal maker.
Fire and patience and sleepless sights. Lime mortar itself healing the calcium hydroxide, absorbs CO2 from the air over decades, slowly converting back the calcium carbonate. The original limestone, the chemical cascades. Hot lime mortar mixed with quick aggregate. The exothermic reaction keeps the mix workable, even in freezing weather. The medieval builder's secret for winter construction.
Remarkable, water and stone,
The reaction is violent, but the product is peace.
quicklime to slaked lime,
The heat is the release.
quicklime,
The stone that burns with water,
quicklime, the heat from calcium's daughter.
add the water, watch it boil,
No flame needed,
chemical toil.
quicklime,
900 degrees to make
quicklime, 300 when it wakes.
the most reactive stone on earth. Fire inside from limestone's birth. We think a stone is inert, dead, passive, but quicklime is a stone that reacts alive. Add water and it generates enough heat to ignite paper. The limestone revived.
The carbon cycle of the built environment. Limestone heated, CO2 released.
Quicklime made
Quicklime slake
mortar sets
absorbs CO2.
over centuries, returning to limestone repaid. Strip it down to what the quicklime teaches. The most violent reaction produces the most stable result. The heat of transformation is temporary. The product endures without insult. 4 a.m. the slaking pit is calm. The quicklime fully hydrated, warm but settled.
The line putty will age for a year before use.
The oldest building material, the most nettled. I cover the pip at the top, the putty maturing like wine. The longer it ages, the finer the mortar. Medieval lime putty was aged for decades.
The cathedral mortar smoother than any that followed.
The order of patience and chemistry,
Calcium and water.
the simplest recipe, the longest reward.
Quicklime,
The stone that burns with water,
quicklime, the heat from calcium's daughter.
add the water, watch it boil,
No flame needed,
chemical toil.
quicklime,
900 degrees to make
quicklime, 300 when it wakes.
the most reactive stone on earth. Fire inside from limestone's birth. Water meets lime,
The heat rises,
the stone was never dead.
just waiting.
Peel the paper back slow, let the sweetness show. Tar and honey on my lips, bittersweet afterglow. Every drag a contradiction, poison dressed in gold. Inhale the paradox, watch the story unfold. Lungs full of amber, throat coated in night. Smoke curling upward like a lazy satellite. I know it's killing me softly, but the ritual stays. Tar and honey, that's just how I spend my days. Sticky fingers, ash and glow, can't decide to stay or go. Tar and honey, bittersweet and never funny. Burning slow beneath the ceiling. Tar and honey got me feeling something close to peace, something close to pain. Tar and honey falling like the rain. Roll it tight between my fingers, seal it with a lick. Golden resin on the paper, every inhale thick. The room was painted amber, clock forgot to move. Tar and honey got me locked inside this groove. Exhale, a cathedral ceiling made of gray. Tomorrow I'll quit, that's what I always say. But tonight the sweetness wraps around my chest. Tar and honey, guilty comfort, nothing less. Tar and honey, bittersweet and never funny. Burning slow beneath the ceiling. Tar and honey got me feeling something close to peace, something close to pain. Tar and honey falling like the rain. Maybe I'm the moth, maybe smoke's the flame. Tar and honey whispering my name. One more drag, one more golden thread, weaving through the silence in my head. Tar and honey. Tar and honey. The sand falls, and the time falls with it. One grain, 1 second, one truth. Sandglass. Sandglass. Sandglass, the hourglass. Two bulbs connected by a narrow neck through which the sand descends. Gravity and friction, the only mechanics. No spring, no gear, no battery, the measurement that bends. I turn the sandglass at 1 a.m. The sand begins pouring from the upper bulb in a thin stream. 8,000 grains per minute, calibrated by the neck diameter and the grain size, the scheme. The sand is not sand, it's ground marble or crushed eggshell or powdered tin oxide. Real sand is too irregular, the grains would jam. The hourglass requires uniformity to guide. The flow rate is remarkably constant, unlike the water clock, which slows as the head drops. The sandglass maintains its rate until empty, because the weight of sand above doesn't change the stops. Grain by grain the time descends, no rushing and no waiting. The neck decides the rate, and the sand is simply stating. Sandglass, the time that falls like rain. Sandglass, each grain a moment's change. Turn it over, watch it go. Gravity is all you need to know. Sandglass, the simplest clock on earth. Sandglass, sandglass, measuring time since birth. 8,000 grains per minute fall. The neck decides the speed of all.
Yeah. The Sandglass emerged in the 8th century, replacing the water clock on ships, because water froze in winter, sloshed in storms, but sand behaves the same regardless. The claws, the ship's watch was measured in sandglass, as a 4-hour glass turned by the ship's boy. 8 bells marking the end of each watch, the most important timekeeper, a fragile toy. Churches use sandglasses to time the sermon, a 1-hour glass mounted on the pulpit. When the sand ran out, the preacher should stop, but some turned it over the congregation's culprit. The sand in the 3-minute glass, egg timer, falls at roughly 80 grains per second. I watch each grain disappear through the neck, too small to see individually, but beckon.
Grain by grain, the time descends, no rushing and no waiting. The neck decides the rate, and the sand is simply stating. Sandglass, the time that falls like rain. Sandglass, each grain a moment's chain. Turn it over, watch it go. Gravity is all you need to know. Sandglass, the simplest clock on earth. Sandglass, sandglass, measuring time since birth. 8,000 grains per minute fall. The neck decides the speed of all.
The sandglass is the only clock you can see working. Every grain a visible second analog. Unlike the digital display that jumps, the sand shows you time as a continuous log. You can see how much is left and how much is gone. The two bulbs, future and past, transparent. The neck is the present, the narrowest point where the grain passes from potential to apparent. Strip it down to what the sandglass teaches. The present is the narrowest part of time. 1 grain wide, just enough for one moment. The past and future are visible, the present and the climb. 1 a.m. and the sandglass empties, the last grain falling, the pause, then nothing. I turn it over and the cycle restarts. The upper bulb full again, the resurrection, something. The sandglass doesn't count, it doesn't display a number, it shows a proportion, how much remains. The existential clock, not what time is it, but how much time is left.
The visual refrains. I watch the sand fall at 1 a.m. Each grain a decision I've already made. The upper bulb, my future shrinking. The lower bulb, my experience displayed.
The sandglass sits on every desk that matters, in every painting of the scholar and the saint. The memento mori of the timekeeper, the most honest clock
without complaint. Sandglass, the time that falls like rain. Sandglass, each grain a moment's chain. Turn it over, watch it go. Gravity is all you need to know. Sandglass, the simplest clock on earth. Sandglass, sandglass, measuring time since birth. 8,000 grains per minute fall. The neck decides the speed of all. The last grain fell.
Turn it over.
Turn it over. Turn it over. Second floor and the lobby's gone. Elevator humming, but there's no one on. Mirror walls reflecting just the version left behind. Elevator to nowhere, floor I'll never find. Buttons lit like constellations, none of them are mine. Press the penthouse, press the basement, both decline. Hanging in the shaft between the earth and sky. Elevator to nowhere, too afraid to cry. Going up or going down, either way I'm losing ground. Elevator to nowhere, rising through the dark. Steel box in silence, beating hard. Doors keep opening to empty halls. Elevator to nowhere, catch me when I fall. Somewhere between the floors, I lost the plan. Elevator to nowhere. Who
Smooth jazz leaking from the speaker overhead. Music for the lost, a lullaby for the dead. I pressed every button but the one that takes me home.
Elevator to nowhere, chrome and alone. Cables getting tired, counterweight unsure. 90 floors on nothing, still I'm wanting more. The city's underneath me, stars are up above. Elevator to nowhere, searching still for love. Nowhere, rising through the dark, steel arcs and silence. Beating heart, doors keep opening to empty halls. Elevator to nowhere, catch me when I fall. Somewhere between the floors, I lost the plan. Elevator to nowhere, who I am. Emergency stop, red button glowing bright. Maybe standing still is how I get it right. Elevator to nowhere, to nowhere. Found the ring behind the bathroom sink, silver band that used to make me think we'd be standing at some altar someday, exchanging words we practiced on the way. But the promise rusted faster than the band, tarnished silver from a tarnished plan. Unmade promises collecting dust, like the future we forgot to trust. A promise unmade is worse than one that's broken. At least a broken one was once a token. But unmade promises were never spoken, just assumptions floating, quietly awoken. Unmade promises, the ones we never said. Unmade promises, the vows inside my head, louder than the words we actually fed. Unmade promises, the love that went unfed.
You said someday, like it meant for sure. I said of course, like I had the cure. But someday never got a calendar date, and of course was just a wait away.
We promised nothing and delivered less. Two architects without a home address. The blueprints filed but never built upon. Unmade promises from dusk to dawn. A promise unmade is worse than one that's broken. At least a broken one was once a token. But unmade promises were never spoken, just assumptions floating, quietly awoken. Unmade promises, the ones we never said. Unmade promises, the vows inside my head, louder than the words we actually fed. Unmade promises, the love that went unfed. I should've said I'll fight for us through anything. You should've said I'll stay through the reckoning. But we spoke and maybe soft and beckoning, and the silence grew into a deafening. Unmade promises are invisible scars, no evidence, no witnesses, no memoirs. Just two people underneath the same set of stars who forgot to promise who they really are. Picked the ring up off the bathroom floor, held it to the light, one final tour. No engraving, no inscription said, just a silver circle of our mutual regret. I put it in the drawer with the other ghost of relationships
that never reached their coast. Not broken, just unmade from the start. Unmade promises, the quietest broken heart. Unmade promises, the ones we never said. Unmade promises, the vows inside my head. Louder than the words we actually fed. Unmade promises, the love that went unfed. Ring goes in the drawer, lid shuts tight. Unmade promises, sealed from the light. Some love fails not from the fight, but from the words we never said goodnight.
Makes the wax makes the light. The oldest candle burns the cleanest.
Beeswax secreted from glands on the bee's abdomen. 8 tiny scales of wax per worker bee. Chewed and molded into hexagonal cone. The architecture of the hive built for free. I melt the beeswax in the double boiler at 1 a.m. 63 degrees, the melting point low. The liquid is golden, translucent, smelling of honey and propolis and pollen. The hive's afterglow. Beeswax candles were the premium light source before petroleum. The church demanded them. Tallow candles smoked and smelled of animal fat. Beeswax burned clean bright, the medieval gem. 1 pound of beeswax requires 8 pounds of honey. The bees consume fuel to produce the building material. The most extensive construction in the animal kingdom. Every hexagon paid for in caloric cereal.
The bees make the wax from the honey they made from the flowers. The most layered production line running 24 hours.
Beeswax, the hive's own architecture. Beeswax, the golden manufacture. 8 scales per bee, hexagonal dream. The cleanest candle, the brightest gleam. Beeswax, melted and molded and made. Beeswax, the bee's most generous trade. Honey to wax to comb to light. The hive producing through the night. The lost wax casting method, Sire Purdue uses beeswax to create the mold for bronze. Sculpt in wax, invest in ceramic, burn out the wax. The void fills with molten metal that responds. Every bronze sculpture in every museum started as a beeswax, original, temporary. The wax is sacrificed so the metal can live. The most generous art material, ordinary, extraordinary. Encaustic paint and beeswax mixed with pigment, applied hot to a surface, fused with heat. The Fayum mummy portrait's 2,000 years old. Beeswax paint still vivid, time's defeat. I pour the melted wax into a candle mold. The cotton wick centered, held by a skewer. The wax cooling from the outside and contracting, creating a slight dimple at the top. The viewer.
The bees make the wax from the honey they made from the flowers. The most layered production line running 24 hours.
Beeswax, the hive's own architecture. Beeswax, the golden manufacture. 8 scales per bee, hexagonal dream. The cleanest candle, the brightest gleam. Beeswax, melted and molded and made. Beeswax, the bee's most generous trade. Honey to wax to comb to light. The hive producing through the night.
Beeswax, 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 beeswax.
Beeswax wraps the modern food preservation, replacing plastic, cling film, and eco kitchens. The antimicrobial properties of the wax, keeping food fresh. The environmental stitchings, beeswax, lip balm, beeswax, leather conditioner, beeswax, furniture polish, beeswax, thread coating. The most versatile animal product after wool, the bee's contribution to human promoting. Strip it down to what the beeswax teaches. The byproduct of one process is the raw material of another. The bee makes honey for food and wax for home, and humans found 10,000 uses for both. No other. 1 a.m. the candle is cooled and I light it. The flame is golden, the orange like paraffin. Beeswax burns at a higher temperature. The light is brighter, cleaner, the seraphim. The scent is subtle, warm, not perfumed. Just the natural aroma of the hive. 1 million flowers distilled through 1 million bees into a candle that makes the midnight alive. I watch the flame at 1 a.m. Steady, no flicker in the still workshop air. The beeswax giving back the sunlight that the flowers collected beyond compare. Beeswax, the hive's own architect. She's wax, the golden manufacture. 8 scales per bee, hexagonal dream. The cleanest candle, the brightest gleam. Beeswax, melted and molded and made. Beeswax, the bee's most generous trade. Honey to wax, to comb to light. The hive producing through the night. 8 scales per bee. 8 pounds of honey per pound of wax. The most expensive architecture on earth, built by an insect. Whetstone, Whetstone. Whetstone, Whetstone. Whetstone, Whetstone, Whetstone. Lay the blade against the grain and let the friction teach. Every stroke a lesson, every spark a speech. Dull is just a phase before the edge returns. Whetstone patience, that's the way I learn. Water dripping slow, keeping temperature in check. Angle 30 degrees, nothing less, nothing less. Pressure even, breathe and hold the line. Whetstone, turning damage into shine. They tried to break me, but they made me sharp. Every scar's a starting point, every wound's a spark. Whetstone, Whetstone, grind me down to bright. Every pass is bringing back the fight. Whetstone, Whetstone, rough is how I start. Polished edge, unbreakable heart. Sharpened by the struggle, shaped by the stone. Whetstone made this blade my own. Yeah. Quartz grit first to carve away the doubt. Medium to smooth the things I used to shout. Fine grit last, a mirror in the steel. Whetstone teaching me exactly how to feel. People see the shine, but never see the grind. 10,000 passes, water, stone, and time. I was rusted, chipped, forgotten on the shelf. Whetstone showed me how to fix myself. Whetstone, Whetstone, run me down to bright. Every pass is bringing back the fight. Whetstone, Whetstone, rough is how I start. Polished edge, unbreakable heart. Sharpened by the struggle, shaped by the stone. Whetstone made this blade my own. A blade that's never sharpened, never learns to cut. A life that's never tested, never opens up. Whetstone, Whetstone. Whetstone.
Footsteps on the pavement, leather sole on stone. Glass towers bending moonlight, walking all alone. Concrete veins beneath me carrying the weight of a million midnight stories running late. Reflection in the lobby, tie undone, eyes low. Glass and concrete built this cage I chose to know. Every window is a pixel, every floor alive. Glass and concrete shining underneath the night. Cold to touch but warm inside the glow. The city never sleeps but never lets you know. Glass and concrete, that's my lullaby. Steel horizon, neon sky. Glass and concrete, hard but beautiful. Every crack is proof I'm still standing full. Built on glass and concrete dreams. Nothing's ever quiet as it seems. Revolving doors keep spinning, never taking sides. Concrete doesn't judge, and glass just multiplies. Shadows stretching long across the plaza floor. Glass and concrete always wanting more. Penthouse lights like diamonds set in gray. Basement hummer generators keeping dark at bay. I press my palm against the window feeling cold. Glass and concrete on the stories that I hold. Glass and concrete, that's my lullaby. Steel horizon, neon sky. Glass and concrete, hard but beautiful. Every crack is proof I'm still standing full. Built on glass and concrete dreams. Nothing's ever quiet as it seems. Somewhere between the 44th and the street. Glass and concrete taught my heart to beat. Glass and concrete.